everybody.
Happy Fresh Outlook Friday.
Yeah.
Wow, I haven't said that in a long time. I don't think I said it last time.
I don't remember what happened earlier today. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Okay. So it's week 2 of our devotional series, The Root of You.
Yes.
And Miss Allison is gonna cut her loose for us.
We're, if you guys were on last week or read the Devo from last week, we're going over the first chapter in Genesis. And as a metaphor for our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, the first title is Vast Possibilities, and it's focused on Genesis 1:8. God called the vault sky, and there was evening, and there was morning the second day. And also on Psalm 19:1, the heavens are telling of the glory of God, and their expanse is declaring the work of his hands. Now, the definition of sky, we're going back to elementary, is the first thing is the region of the clouds or the upper air, the upper atmosphere of the earth. And the second definition is the heavens or firmament appearing as a great arch or vault. And the third is the supernal, which I did not even know was a word. I actually thought that maybe the internet got it wrong and it was supposed to be supernatural, and I'm like, you missed some letters in there. It is a word. I googled it. Or celestial heaven. The second title is Expanse of Space. I kind of jumped from day 2 to day 4 and tied them in together, because day 2 he made the sky, but he didn't put anything in it. He just made the sky and then was like, oh, forget about the sky, we're gonna do other things and make plants and animals and stuff. But he didn't. He comes back and he puts all the stars in and all of the planets and the sun and the moon. And I was really thinking about that when I wrote this, about how there are so many things about the sky and the things that are in our galaxies that tie into even how Earth functions.
Mm-hmm.
And how the moon and the gravity, and it causes the waves, and it makes us to where we don't float. Like, it's just precise. It's exact to what it needs to be. Like, we're not smushed into the ground and we're not floating. Like, it's just how it needs to be. And how the stars, yes, we move and they move, but they move in such a correlation that we can use them to literally find our way home or to know what direction we're going, like the North Star. Like, everything up there is in response, like, to something here. It goes hand in hand. And how, I mean, even my husband and I do it in the summer. We have this ginormous backyard, and there are no lights back there. It is very, very, very dark. And so we've got a really good view of the night sky, and that we will sit out there or lay out there or whatever and look up, and it's just like, I don't know if you guys have ever done it. You lay there and that's all that you can see, and it's almost like you start to feel weightless under the enormity of it. It's just huge and vast, and it just goes on forever and ever and ever, and we don't even know what all is out there.
Right.
It's so big that we can't possibly comprehend how big it is. And so then this is about us, and a metaphor for us is our whole Devo, devotional series, and about how that's what God does for us. How he creates in us a sky or a blank canvas or an empty slate, and he's going to place things in us that are just so, just to go hand in hand with everything. It's just precise. Everything that he writes on that, everything that he puts in it, every brushstroke, word, everything that he puts on it is just so.
Yeah.
And it's
purposeful,
it's
intentional.
purposeful, but it's like so
ginormous.
Yes. I don't want to use the words overwhelming or mind-boggling, because it is that, but that makes it sound negative. It's not that. It's just so possible. There's so many possibilities, not possibles, that's not a word. But, and I know that one's not a word. Supernal is a word. But writing this, I came back to that feeling of laying in my backyard and how we need to apply that feeling to ourselves. That's something that me and Whitney have been talking about lately is how we see ourselves and what that makes us do, and what words do you want God to write on you, and what words do you want to erase that you've written there?
Since we're talking about the sky and the ozone, for all of you environmentalists, the ozone layer, how it had disrupted and now it's repairing itself, I think is good for a metaphor for our souls anyways, that we'll go through things that tear open a hole and like make a wound, but that when we change our atmosphere, it begins to heal the wounds that were there. That's what's happening to our ozone. It's healing itself. And I love that he made, the earth in 3 layers, and that he made us in 3 layers. It's all in his image, mind, body, soul, and spirit. He's just pretty. All in 3s too.
That's neat. I'm gonna come up with a word eventually for how it makes me feel.
It's definitely not coincidental. It's too big for that, my opinion.
It's dwarfing. So, our worksheet for this week, the first question is your slate clean and ready for what God has to place his plans on you?
I hope so. I'm working really hard at cleaning it.
Right? And I feel like I can see it in my brain of, how you write something in chalk and then you erase it and it's kind of smudgy. Yeah. I feel like I do that all the time. I'm like, do this word, I'm this, and then it's like, no, you're not. So now my slate's smudgy. But
it's working its way to clean. How mine is. We're working its way.
But, okay, number 2 is, if he took as much care of the stars and the planets, he takes that much more care of you. What do you feel when you look at the night sky? It's so easy to walk out there and just not even pay any attention. And that's something that in my family, like, my husband is really into, he really likes that. He constantly is asking for a telescope, but he doesn't want a cheap telescope. Lord, no, he has to have, like, a $1,300 telescope, and I'm like, no. So he had binoculars, and we got Tresman binoculars, and he has this app on his phone. It's really cool, like where you point your phone at whatever part of the sky, and it'll tell you what the constellations are.
Oh, that is.
It is. It's neat. So that's something that we'll sit outside in the summer and do and talk about the heavens and that feeling of. It just really puts you in check of how little you are, and how even in that you are so important.
You are. It's mind-boggling. And I love too that those stars, that she's talking about, they work in tandem with the earth, and that we can use them to navigate. That even goes back to reference to the wise men. The wise men used the stars to navigate. It's just really neat to think about that. They used it as like a holy function, and had that. Nowadays it's kind of skewed. People
astrology.
Yeah, and horoscopes. But that God's intention was to help guide you in things, and so that part is right. If we could study them with a holy mindset instead of being covered with something else. But
well, and this is the nerdy me coming out of all of these things. I mean, it's something that people have been fascinated with forever, and how, like, I watch documentaries and stuff because I'm me, but I remember this one guy saying on one about how we are so much more preoccupied and obsessed with finding what's out there and the stars and all of those things than we are even what's inside of our own earth. Like, we don't go to the bottom of our oceans, we don't dig down very far, we're just like, whatever, stars, let's figure that out. But it's like, because we've got, rovers on Mars, and we're constantly expanding and, doing, and I mean, the ancients, they did it, the Egyptians, and they built the pyramid and aligned with Orion's belt, which is constellation, and even like Stonehenge, it's with the winter solstice, and I mean, there's just millions and millions, so many examples of all of these things that they did that lined up in correlation with things that they saw in the night sky, and how big that is.
Yes. And historical, and it just, another thing that it all just ties together.
It's important.
It is important.
But, so if, the Egyptians were going to build the pyramids that big to be in Orion's belt, how much more important are you?
True.
So, our challenge this week is to take care to clean your slate to be filled with God's plans. So keep erasing, even if it's a little smudgy. Just keep going.
Yes. And a way to erase things, we've been talking about that this week, is understanding your importance, that God made the earth, but he also took time to make you, and that he sees you a specific way, and to really be mindful of how you see yourself. We've been talking about that because it's easy to not see yourself the way he sees you, and to kind of get off
on
track.
And bring out your Debbie Dowder and...
Yeah, negative Nancy. I should probably apologize, but I just called my dad a negative Nancy. Should probably go repent for that.
To be fair, he was speaking negativity over the embroidery machine.
He was, and we don't appreciate that. So just be mindful of your words, because he created those too. He spoke everything with his voice, with words. He thought it and then he spoke it. And the spoken word that he put in us is big too. So just when you're cleaning your slate, use your words.
That's why I liked and put in Psalm 19:1 about the heavens are telling of the glory of God, and their expanse is declaring the work of his hands.
Yes.
And it's so... I might have said this already. I know I said it to Whitney, but I said I can see him placing each star and just like tweaking it a little bit. Just so...
I wanted you this way, not that way. Yeah. He takes such care in things that we just take for granted, such as this. And how weird would our world be if we didn't have the sky and the stars?
Yep. So I hope you all have a good weekend, and this is something for you to think about and relate to. And
like, share, comment.
Yes.
Invite your friends to be a part of our Devo.
And as always, if you have any prayer requests or anything that you need, feel free to comment at the bottom, send us a message, whatever.
Yep. We will pray over it.
We will pray over it, and not in that, we'll pray for you. We'll actually pray over it.
We will.
So, have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.